All right, so in this lecture, we're going to look at the components of Linux commands. So these are the examples of Linux commands. ls and ifconfig are command names. We're going to practice them with the next lecture, and you'll see how they work. But for now, let's examine the structure of the command components. /bin is an argument of the ls command. An argument, also called command line argument, can be defined as an input given to a command line to process that input with the help of a given command. So arguments are entered in the terminal or console after entering the command. They can be set as a path, so we could also write more than one argument together, and they will be processed in the order that they are written. Now, a parameter is an argument that provides information to either the command or one of its options. They are optional, and you're also free to use whatever parameter suits your particular needs. Single character parameters are used with a single dash. More than one parameter can be used behind a dash, so ls-al can be used instead of ls-a-l. Now, with double dash parameters, more than one character can be used, such as here, ls double dash help. So in this case, a new double dash must be used for each parameter. Make sense? So as a result, the first command lists the files and directories under the /bin folder with long format by showing permissions. All right. The second command displays the detailed information about the ifconfig command. The ls command is used to list files or directories in Linux and other Unix-based operating systems. Just like you navigate in your File Explorer or Finder with a GUI, the ls command allows you to list all the files or directories in the current directory by default and further interact with them via the command line. -a or ~all parameters lists files or directories, including hidden files or directories. So in Linux, anything that begins with a dot, that is considered a hidden file. -l lists the contents of the directory in a table format with content permissions, size of the content in bytes, and last modified date and time of the content. -h or ~human readable display size information with human readable format. -s or ~size, where s is lowercase, lists files or directories with their sizes. -uppercase s lists files or directories and sorts by date or time in descending order, or from biggest to smallest. Finally, -t is a parameter that lists files or directories and sorts by last modified date and time in descending order, from biggest to smallest. So let's go ahead and practice. So go to Kali, log in with the default credentials Kali and Kali. Open up the command line. Now you can change the font size from the preferences under the File tab. Click on Change. I'm going to set the size to be 14. Okay, so that's better for me. Now let's run the ls command with the help parameter, and we'll be able to see some detailed information. So you can see the arguments, options, and parameters here, and you can use them when needed. They're all right here. So I'll show you some of the most common options. Now, and by the way, you can clear the screen with Control L. So let's list all the files under the /user/bin folder with -al parameter. And as you can see, we find all the files, including the hidden files, with the long listing format. And these are the permissions and last modified date of the file. So let's look at the file sizes with the human readable format. And as you can see, the file sizes are more readable now. Now the next parameter is lowercase s, and it'll show you the total size and sizes of each file. And then finally, we'll use the T parameter. And it sorts the files and directories by the last modified date and time from biggest to smallest. All right, so in this lecture, we will see the pwd command. pwd stands for Print Working Directory. And as the name suggests, it prints the current directory. So let's go to Kali. Run pwd. Now, as you may remember, the tilde sign means the home directory, and you see that we are in the home directory of the Kali user. So why don't we change the directory to /user/share/nmap/scripts and list files. So now let's run the pwd command again. And as you can see, we now see the full path of the current directory. The man command. Man is the abbreviation of manual, so it gives detailed information about the named command, including name, synopsis, configuration, description, options, exit status, return value, as well as errors. Now, the manual is divided into multiple sections, so we can pass a section number as an argument to get a specific section of the manual for a given command. And this table shows the available sections. Section 1 is default. It opens the user command descriptions if no section is given. Now, if you run man password, it shows the manual of the password command. And if you specify the section number, for example, 5, it'll show the format of the file. All right, so let's go to Kali. Run man pwd to see the manual page of the pwd command. And there it opens section 1 by default. So just press Q to quit. So what if we run the man command? And of course, it shows us the manual page of the man command. Say that 3 times fast. That's all right. You don't have to. Great. So obviously, there's lots of detailed information about the man command, right? You can read through this at another time, but know that it's here. So this time, we'll specify a section number. 1 is the default section, and it shows the user commands. So let's try to see section 5 of the password command. And as you can see, it shows the file formats and conversions of the password command. Now, the cd command, or change directory command, this is used to change the current working directory in Linux and other Unix-like operating systems. It's one of the most basic and frequently used commands when you're working on the Linux terminal. You can specify the path of the directory, and in addition to that, you can change the directory with some special symbols. A double dot is a symbol for the upper folder. A single dot is the symbol for the current folder. So if you run cd double dot, it moves you to the previous folder. If you run cd command without any parameter, it'll give you the home folder of the current user. cd tilde user moves to the home directory of the named user. And finally, cd single dash moves to the previous position. All right, so let's go ahead and practice it. So go to Kali, change directory to /user/share/nmap/scripts. And now let's check the current folder with the pwd command. Okay. So now let's move to the previous folder with a double dot. Cool, now check the current folder again. And as you can see, we have now moved to the upper folder. So let's go ahead and run the cd command without parameters and check the current folder. And you can see that we are in the home folder of the Kali user. Now, if we run the cd command with dash, we'll move to the previous position. And yeah, so let's see how we just moved back to the nmap folder. So let's go to the home folder again. This time use the tilde sign. Okay, great. Well, now we're back at the home folder again. The cat command is one of the most frequently used commands in Linux, Unix-like operating systems. The cat command allows us to create single or multiple files, view the contents of a file, concatenate files, as well as redirect output in terminal or files. That's where the cat command comes from, right? Concatenate. I didn't just trip over that word. Anyway, generally it's used to see the content of a text file. I'll just show you how it works, all right? So follow along. First, list files, and there are two different text files here. So let's check out the content of the my text file with the cat command. And these lines are written inside the text file. So if we want to add a new word or statement to this file, we can use a double greater than symbol. I'll just write the new line and quit with Control and C. So let's see the content of the file again. And as you can see, we've added one more line to the text file. So what if we only use one greater than symbol? So let's add in a new line again, run the cat command. Single greater than symbol overwrites the entire content with the new line we just added. That's powerful stuff. So let's see the content of the my text file 2 this time. So if we run the cat command with both my text file and my text file 2, we'll see the contents of both. Now, the echo command is one of the most basic as well as frequently used commands in Linux. So it displays a line of text and the arguments passed to echo are printed to the standard output. So let's practice it. Go to Kali, run echo path, and it displays a line of text on standard output. Now, if you want to display the variables, you'll need to add a $sign to the variable. So let's run echo $path. This time it shows the path environment variable that keeps track of certain directories in Linux. So hopefully you remember cat shows the content of the file, and there is a single line in the my text file. We can also add a new line to this file with the echo command. So run echo a new line double greater than my text file. Let's see the content. And there it is. It's been added. All right, so we showed in the cat command the single greater than symbol overwrites the entire content with the new line. Just remember that. And here we have the more command. That's used to view the text files in the command prompt, displaying one screen at a time in case the file is large, for example, log files. So if you press enter or space, it'll move to the next page. The line number specifies a line where you want to start displaying the text content. And you can press Q to quit. Let's go to Kali. All right, so we can open the syslog file because it's large enough to open with the more command. And it's under the /var/log folder. Oh, and we get permission denied. Okay, so it's an error. But as you remember, some commands, operations, or files require root privileges. And as a standard user, we won't be able to access these files, or we won't be able to, perform any of these important actions. So to change the user to root, just run sudo more/var/log/syslog, enter the password. Okay, so let's press enter or space to go to the next page. We can also see how much of a percent of the file that we've already read. And press Q to exit. So let's add a line number. If we add a number with a dash, it'll display the 12 lines in a page. So let's add a number with a plus sign, and it specifies a line where you want to start displaying the text content. So it started displaying from line 123. Now, the less command is a command line utility that displays the contents of a file or command output, one page at a time. So you see how it's similar to more, but it actually has more advanced features. So you can search for a word in a file, move to a specific line, and it allows you to go both backward and forward within the line. So let's play around with that. Run sudo less/var/log/syslog. You can now press the arrow keys to go back and forward. So let's search for a database, for instance, right? /database. And yeah, there you go. It finds it easily. So now let's go to a specific line. I'll move to the 86th line, for instance. Okay, well, we cannot see the line number, but I believe that we are in the 86th line. All right, so just quit out of that. So the head command is a command line utility for outputting the first part of the files given to it via standard input. Right? So it writes the results to standard input, but by default, head returns the first 10 lines of each file that it is given. You can add a number with the -n parameter to see the first specified lines if you want. You want to see how that works? I want to show it to you. So change directory to the /user/share/nmap/scripts. List files. And as you can see, there are lots of nmap script files. So let's run one of them with the head command. And it displays 10 lines by default. So let's specify a number with the -n parameter. Okay, so this time we see the first 20 lines of this file. Here's the tail command, and it complements the head command, as you might imagine. So it'll display data from the end of the file. It'll write results to standard output, and by default, tail returns the last 10 lines of each file that it is given. It may also be used to follow a file in real time and watch as new lines are written to it. So to watch a file for changes with the tail command, just pass the -f option. This will show the last 10 lines of a file and will update when new lines are added. Hey, what about going to Cali? All right, so here we are under the /user/share/nmap/scripts folder. And let's just run any file with a tail command to see the end of the file. Okay, so if we specify the number, for example, 40, we see the last 40 lines of the file. Now let's follow a file in real time with -f parameter and see how it repeats every 2 seconds. It's very handy to watch log files that change regularly. And let's quit out of that by pressing Control and C. Now grep, this is a command. Well, I'll tell you that grep stands for globally search for a regular expression and then print it out. So that's why we say grep. But the grep command basically searches a file for a particular pattern of characters, and then it'll display all the lines that contain that pattern. The text search pattern is called a regular expression. So when it finds a match, it prints the line with a result. The grep command is handy when searching through very large log files, for instance. The -i parameter is used to perform case-insensitive searches. You can use regular expressions with -e parameters. -r parameters can be used to read all files under each directory recursively. And then finally, the -v parameter. We use that when we want to select non-matching lines. All right, so let's give it a shot. Let's go to Cali. Let's read the content of the /etc password file. So this is a plain text file that contains a list of the system's accounts, giving for each account some useful information like user ID, group ID, home directory, shell, and so much more. Of course, we could search for a particular pattern in this file. So let's run grep cali /etc/passwd. And here, as you can see, it filtered the result containing Kali. So why don't we use a regular expression with the -e parameter? So Linux regular expressions are special characters which help search data and matching complex patterns. So if we add the caret symbol to the beginning of a word, it'll display the patterns that start with Kali. Now, to do a case-insensitive search, we can always add the -i parameter, and we'll capitalize the first letter of Kali so that we can see the result. Now, as you can see, the result did not change. It shows the patterns that start with Kali regardless of upper or lower case. All right, so now let's perform a recursive search. So we can search for OpenVPN under the /user folder recursively. We can also see the full path of the matched pattern. Now, if you want to select non-matching lines, you can just use the -v parameter, and it shows the patterns that do not start with Kali. So the command uname displays the information about the system. -a is the option that prints out all the system information. So I'm going to give it a shot, see what it looks like. Run uname, and it displays the operating system name. Let's add the -a parameter to print all available information. And of course, respectfully, as well as respectively, the output includes the kernel name, host name, kernel release date, kernel version, machine hardware name, and operating system name. Pretty cool, huh? Puts you in the driver's seat. So redirection is a feature in Linux so that when executing a command, you can change the standard input-output devices. The standard input device, of course, is a keyboard, and the standard output device is the screen. But check this out. A single greater than symbol is used to overwrite the output file with the result set. The double greater than symbol is used to append the result set to the target file. The single less than symbol is used to add the results as an input for another command. As you may remember, we practiced output redirection while running the cat and echo commands. I wonder if you noticed. Well, let's try it here and see if you recognize it. So first run echo hello world single greater than my text file. Now look at the content of the file. We overwrite the file. So this time let's use a double greater than symbol. And this time we add a new line to the text file. So let's use input redirection. So in the previous lectures, we looked at the etc or etc/password file, and that contains a list of the system's accounts. There were some values on a line separated by a colon. Run cut-d :-f1 less than etc/password. So in the first command, we got the first values of each row with the -f1 parameter. We needed a delimiter to separate them, and we used the colon for this with the -d parameter. So we gave the etc/password file as the input to the first command by using input redirection. So do you remember what this file looked like before? And as you can see, we extracted the first column of each line. So a pipe is a form of redirection, and it sends the output of one command to another command for further processing. So pipe is used to combine two or more commands. And in this, the output of one command acts as the input of another command. And this command's output may act as an input to the next command. It can continue, believe me. Now, pipes, it's important to note, are unidirectional, right? In other words, data flows from left to right through the pipeline. All right, so now you know all that. Let's try it out. Now, in Kali, there is an important file that stores the actual password in encrypted format for the user's account, with additional properties related to the user password. The name of this file is shadow. It's under the /etc folder. So why don't we dig in and have a look at the content of this file? Oh, and of course, it requires root privileges. So just add sudo to the beginning of the command. Okay, so these are the encrypted form of the user's passwords. Let's read the first 3 lines of this file with the head command. So we'll combine the 2 commands with the pipe redirection. So the output of the one command acts as an input to another command. Yeah. Okay, so now change the directory to the /user/bin folder. Run ls-l pipe grep my, and the grep command takes the output of $ls-l as its input. The net effect of this command is that the output of the ls-l is displayed one screen at a time. So the pipe acts as a container which takes the output of ls-l and gives it to the grep as input.